We'll start again. Okay. With Soylent Green, and they tell the truth, or the truth is told many times in fictional ways. And so people were depressed, and there was hunger problems and all this kind of stuff, and the society created the depression and the hopelessness. And what they would do is, if you got ready to just be done, that you could go to this place and they would show you movies about fish in the ocean and natural world and all that kind of stuff, and they put you to sleep. And so you surrendered your life in order to feel good and to be connected digitally to nature and what used to be and what ought to have been. And then toward the end of the movie, they found out that, and then the government was feeding people Soylent Green, and they finally figured out that Soylent Green was people, and they were grinding up all these people and feeding them to the people, and that fueled the whole thing. And that's very similar to the way it's always been and the way it is now. There is no real law outside of natural law, universal law. You know, anything that adjusts that or goes against that is not real law. That's where law is. In law, I mean, I have this. When I hear the word law, it's I have this connotation of rules. Follow these rules. You know. There is no natural universal law that says you should not drive 75 miles an hour. It's arbitrary. You know?
That's what I was trying to say with abstract. Not you shouldn't kill somebody, but everything you can't say, you know, a felony here in Russia, that's just everyday life.
Yes.
That's what I meant with
the truth thing. Yeah.
What we knew 100 years ago was evil is nothing now. That sort of.
Yes. Yeah, I think we were in agreement the whole time. We were just using different words, and that's part of the word magic. And I don't mean magic like doo-doo-doo-doo. I mean, how do you make a word? You spell it. You cast a spell. I mean, my daughter is dyslexic, and for years we didn't know she was dyslexic. But for years she came up in the school system thinking she was stupid. And we figured some stuff out, and she figured some stuff out, and she worked her butt off. I mean, she still doesn't. She basically had to memorize symbols. She never did. I don't know that she can do the phonetic and work it out. She just has to see words, and because I think she was talking about most folks in school, they have to see something 15 times to get it. And I don't know if these numbers are so, but it's with a dyslexic person, they have to see it like 1,500 times. You know? And but if the writing, because writing is not natural. Speaking is natural, but writing is arbitrary in a lot of ways. And if there was no writing, there would be no dyslexia. So it may be that writing is the illness in some ways. You know, because the use of written language is a very different thing than me and you sitting here talking. You know, all government is based in writing and paper. Now digital, but it's the same thing. You know, it's an idea, it's a dead thing, there's no life to it unless we believe. If we believe, we act certain ways, and we give our life energy to make that thing that ain't even real alive. Because if you listen to the news, they'll talk about things like national security, and that's why we can't tell you. Well, what in the hell is national? It's a corporation. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with your security or my security. It has to do with this business thing.
Like somebody said about all the Christian religions, it's like they pretty much all got it right, but once they start putting dogma in paper, that's when they start to veer off.
And then you argue over pronouns and stuff.
Build up walls to separate yourself from this, and now you all started out right.
Yeah. And
Your ideas weren't wrong.
yeah. And in the system, I just personally think, and this is just me, could not overcome the ideas of Christ and the reality of that and how that was affecting the system in Rome and around in there. And because people were basically saying, you're not God, state, Caesar, you're not God. And they would sit there and, okay, you're going to kill me? You're still not God. I refuse to live in your illusion. You know, I mean, we'll try to get along with everybody. We'll meet in our little places and try to create an ecclesia, a real community of people, and get along with everybody. But at some point, there were some lines that those folks wouldn't cross because they refused to trade reality for an illusion. And so the state began killing them to create fear. You know? And because when we get into fear, we get into good, bad, and that's the basis of idolatry. You know? AI is the latest manifestation of the same thing that's been going on forever. It's something humans create that we want to then surrender ourselves to. Put a chip in my brain. Become God. I am transhuman is just another way of saying God. You know, and you can do that. People can do that. That's fine. But it's not real. It ain't true. In the way that I'm using that word. You know, it's not natural. It goes against natural law. And maybe I'm just simplistic. This pattern repeats over and over and over and over and over and over. It repeats in our relationships with our mothers and our daddies and our brothers and our sisters and our girlfriends and our whatever. You know, we get anxious. We jump. You're good. You say you're good, and I say I'm good, and you're bad. If I'm good, then you have to be bad, and you know, and it just goes over and over and over. And them Republicans and that Doug Jones and Roy Moore, well, he's a good pedophile or whatever, you know. And I don't know what he is or what he ain't. But that's the drama that's being played out while we still are enslaved. There was drama last summer, or I can't keep up with the time anymore, when folks were pulling down statues. And they'd get up fired up and, you know, we're going to kill Whitey or whatever, and Confederate stuff. And I mean, then they don't even have a good sense of the history of what really was going on. But it's this knee-jerk program stuff where they feel, I mean, it's almost like they're a bot. You hear about bots on the internet? Good, bad, there's only two things. And you have these kind of red bots and blue bots and feminist bots and these kind of bots. And they say the same thing over and over and over again. They get anxious, they are triggered is the word. And I said triggered to a woman the other day, and that triggered her because I said triggered. And while I think she still has some human capacity, she's functioning as a bot. Because she got anxious and then started treating me like I'm raping kids or something. She don't even know me. And if somebody does not know somebody, and then they start spewing all this stuff. Where's that information coming from? Their own soul. You know what I'm saying? And that goes round and round and round and round and round.
Bots are basically programmed to respond a certain way to certain things.
And in our culture, people have become bots. They're not real in some sense, or they're not functioning as real souls. You know, is another part of the illusion in the program is to look outside ourselves for resolution of our internal conflict. In religion, in politics, in personal relationships, I feel this internal conflict or whatever's going on in me, and some people project that onto finding the right woman or finding the right man, right? And if your potential mate is doing the same thing, then y'all are not even talking to each other. You're talking to each other's avatars, and after 6 months of using the same toilet, some of the real shit starts coming out. And then you get into this battle of, well, you need to change, or it's your fault, or, you know, or I'm not good enough, so I'm going to get depressed, so I'm going to manipulate you into feeling bad, and you'll let, you know, whatever. And I hear Jesus saying, do the opposite. Religiously, he said, don't call anybody father. You don't need a guru. You know, he says, interpersonally, if you have problems with people, make sure you're addressing that big log sticking out of your eye before you go try to help somebody with their speck. You know? Because like when I'm talking about these boys that are not here, I'm not talking about their soul. I don't know their soul. Right now they're like crackhead bots. And it's so predictable. You know, and I can say certain words and they'll jump and they're bots. Or that's their functioning. So I'm not judging their eternal souls. I don't know them. They don't know them. They're so ingrained in their programming that they have some assumptions about this process, but they don't know the reality of it. I mean, what me and you did last week that was human. You know, we had that, and which is cool and fun to me. You know,
It's my favorite class.
Because if somebody's living in their own knowledge, they're not going to be necessarily defensive. There may be some energy there to help clarify stuff or whatever, but they're not going to run away or.
Okay.
Does that make?
You have a want to explain, but okay, it's cool.
Do what now?
You have a want to explain, but if you don't get it, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know what I believe, you know, me.
And because words, and I think I said this last week, they're very leaky vessels. They can't contain reality. Even spoken words, written words are even less able to carry real meaning, I think, sometimes. We can read the same verb or the same noun or the same sentence and have very different experiences with that sentence and that verb and that noun and whatever.
Is that why actions speak louder than words?
Sending a text is so horrible.
I mean, if texting with somebody that you know and you're close,
Right.
you know.
You have to have that relationship because otherwise.
But if you don't have that relationship, you're going to project your own meanings onto those words. You know? And if you're not in the process of becoming aware or alive or however you want to, conscious, we just go round and round and round and round and round. You know?
Yeah.
Because I'll play with these boys. and I'm picking at their stereotypes. They don't understand that they're living out a stereotype. You know, they think they're special. Well, what the Creator made you is special. What the Creator made them is special and unique, and the universe needs that. But not their. I mean, it's tired.
None of your business.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I ought to go get the task force to run a dog through here.
Maybe.
No, I'm.
Yeah. Maybe.
They need, and over at the transition house, they need practice, and they love it. It's like going hunting for them.
Yeah,
And that may help a lot of folks.
it would cause awareness.
Hmm?
It would cause awareness.
Legal drugs.
They're not legal on Turning Point. The law of Turning Point is different. You know?
Long program.
Zero tolerance.
But, you know, I ain't nobody's daddy. I don't, whatever, as long as you're not. I mean, because what goes on here is what folks allow to go on here. You know? And in the same way as what goes on here is what y'all allow to go on here, or what the system allows to go on in here, is the same thing about. It's the same thing in America. We allow it. We'll sit around and talk bad about it or whatever, but we somehow allow it. But I just had a thought. Taking thoughts captive, part of that, who's taking it captive? The real you is. Thoughts are not you. That is part of the awareness, is that thoughts. Because if thoughts were you, then who's taking it captive?
No, the thoughts are, like I said, I see something on TV, it's from the outside world, and I begin to think on a trail of thoughts that are usually bad and negative. So by me taking them captive, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what
I can take them captive.
I'm not critiquing you at all. I'm saying you're right on it.
No, you clarifying it.
Yeah.
I didn't ask myself who takes them captive. I just say I take them captive.
Yeah. And that's more awareness. That's more waking up that I am not my thoughts. I'm not the impulses in my body. I'm not. There's something else there. I mean, I don't know what that is because it's beyond words. Because I can say a word and part of me or me realizes that I'm not my words. You know.
For me, with that thought, though, that thought process, like, I have to make sure the Holy Spirit in me is what's guiding
Yes.
the captive versus just my other conscience, you know, I have my good conscience, my bad conscience. Yeah.
Talk to me about that a little bit, so I know about what you just said.
Good conscience and bad conscience. I mean, to me, it all comes down to I can justify anything and justify it well, and you can't do that. That's, I mean, and then that goes to faith. Faith isn't justified, so you have to, for me, faith, and that's the hard thing. You can't justify that, so there's a whole lot of trusting. So trusting goes back to justification. Justification is always going to fail you.
And all of that, and I'm just talking back to you from what I'm hearing, is anxiety based.
Yeah. But if I let go, let both those consciences go, and have the Holy Spirit.
You transcend the dualism.
I'm cool, you know.
Yeah. Yes.
The presence comes off, you sit down.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
That's gonna come back in an hour.
Yeah,
But yeah.
or 5 minutes or whatever, yeah.
Okay, it's all good. But even if I don't handle it that way, I can still handle it right. Like not, oh, I need to go stick a needle in my arm, but it's still just gonna come around eventually.
Yeah. Because I think we grow and change more like tomato plants or oak trees than we do machines. And sometimes in the good, bad, right, wrong stuff, we're trying to fix stuff. What's that thing I need to learn or do or change in order to be okay?
Working was the easy part, like you just said. This and okay, cool. Just like, you know, your deeds for your salvation or whatever. It's easy. Catholics, well, that's easy. Do this and you're set. Okay, cool. I got that. Just be cool with it. That's real hard.
And the part of the cool thing is we never get there. It's just an ongoing process. You know, we can be cool with it on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we're gonna, you know, and because we're alive and we're growing. And I think, baby, as your awareness of the you part, because that's that place that is too deep for words, that stillness and that place where that's where we encounter God, not in our head. You know, just like when you and I connect somehow spiritually, quantum, whatever all that stuff is, our quantum entanglement now, you and I have a relationship that is beginning. And that is beyond our words. It's deeper than our words, you know. Like when you meet somebody new, you kind of look at how they act and how they dress and what they say and And many times we'll think that we know them. You know. But just watch me. How long have you been here, baby?
This will be my second week in 2 days.
Okay, so you got a minute.
No, it's the second week. This is my full second.
Well, watch. When I'm poking at people, I mean, I don't have a need for them to think I'm right. Okay, when I'm poking at them, I'm trying to help them understand that they're living a bot life, a stereotype. And most of them I don't even mess with. But the ones that do this to me, there's something in their soul, they're wanting something. And so I engage them, even though they might be little assholes.
Yeah.
That's very different than somebody that sits back there in the corner for 3 months. Going, you know, I can't do nothing with them, for them.
42 more days.
Huh?
42 more
Yeah.
days.
I mean, there's nothing, I can't save them. You know, it's not me being an asshole. I'm trying to help save their damn life. And I'm trying to save her. I'm trying to give whatever I'm doing. But I don't get credit, nor do I take the blame. I'm not Jesus. He is my big brother, though, you know. Because really my only mission is to become what God created me to be, not to fix other people. But as we become realer or whatever, it challenges the bots. Okay? Because real can't fit in a binary world. This good, bad, yes, no. Real is spontaneous. Real is, that's why AI will never become human. Because it's binary, and they're just facsimiles of what they're studying us. And every Facebook post, they're studying it and learning it. And this ain't science fiction. This is real. You know. But whatever AI is, it needs something physical to inhabit in order to live on this plane. you know? And so, and then AI wants to be God and live in all the meat people. That's been the goal forever.
Minions.
You know, huh?
The minions.
Yeah. You know. Oh. But our salvation, our redemption, lies somewhere in, not lies, but it manifests as we do human things, have real conversations. You know, we feel our fear, and we feel our sadness, we feel our joy, you know, because, I mean, our culture's so weird right now. It's like hurt feelings is a crime.
Yeah.
You know, if you're being retarded and somebody says you're being retarded, somebody saying that is an act of love towards you. No, you know. You know what I'm saying? And if I can live into the reality that I'm being retarded, then I can be redeemed from my retardedness. Because if I would be wise, I would first become a fool, understand that I'm foolish. That's where wisdom begins. It's where I go, well, I'm retarded. You know?
Ignorance is a great thing. Willful ignorance is a problem.
I mean, because if a man is ignorant, he'll go, oh, cool, I don't know about that. Tell me.
I love it, right?
Stupid, you can't do nothing with much. You know, ignorance is a very powerful place to live and move and have your being. I don't know. I understand that I see reality, experience reality through a darkened glass, like Paul says. So I see through a glass darkly. I'm ignorant. There's a big cloud of unknowing is one of the mystical. And the will to want to know with our figure it out is idolatrous, I think. All I can really know is my own experience. You know, whether the earth is shaped like a marble or a pear or a pie don't really matter. If you're an asshole, you'll be an asshole on a flat world or a round world. You know, the issue is the asshole or not thing. But people have spent years arguing over that stuff. Who cares? I mean, you're going to encounter the world one step at a time and a person at a time. And when things are set right, we'll know then, as we have been known, it says. But until then, our issue is not about trying to figure everything out. Except us. You know? But it's fun to play with all that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know? Because as I have all my crazy thoughts and I investigate all this stuff, I kind of have this pile. I heard somebody say they have a pile of interesting things that they put stuff in. I don't know this, but that's kind of interesting. And as I'm going through and I go through, sometimes I'll experience or learn something. Oh yeah, that matches with that. Okay. And it's a little confirmation that maybe I'm heading in the right direction or maybe I'm retarded. And I can make a correction. Maybe. But it's more like being study yourself. That's the coolest thing. The journey inward is the only real one. Space is, you know, I mean, you're mainly space, if the scientists are right. Right? As big as you want to go or as small as you want to go, it seems to be infinite. Whatever that's a word we use, but we can't comprehend what infinite means, and while you're here, baby, I mean, treat this like it's Mario or Call of Duty, not Call of Duty, well, it can't be Call of Duty, but I remember in the 80s, 90s, whenever Mario first came out, I mean, it's a whole brand new construct. It's a whole world with rules, and you had to master certain things with your fingers, and this is very similar. There are rules, and there are. This is virtual reality. You could, cause like in Mario, when you finally learn to jump on that duck and get 100 free lives on the pyramid thing. I mean, it took me 150 times to figure, but I didn't even know that was an option when I first started playing.
Yeah.
And you learn the secrets as you go, and you sometimes get angry and you throw the shit, if you're immature like me.
The fake wood panel on the 2-button TV. Put a crack in there. And that 15 years.
And you know how you can get angry at the video game? It ain't real. But we give our life to it as though it is. And it's very similar. There's another matrix that we live here.
See, if someone turns the TV on while I'm watching TV or something, I get pissed off because of that.
Because they cut off that stimulation, that biological stimulation, and it shocks your system. I mean, television, they have alpha and beta waves, your brain functions and stuff like that. And I don't remember all the science to it, except that if you're sitting there watching the paint, looking at that wall for 30 minutes, you're I think it's an alpha wave or beta, whatever wave it is. But if you're watching TV, because of the flicker rate, you could see it back when we were young, the flicker rate was, or if you've ever seen like Archie Bunker and they had a TV playing on the TV, you could see it very easily pronounced. And there is, with that particular flicker rate or that frequency or whatever interval, after a minute your brain kind of goes to a different kind of wave. You actually burn more calories sitting there looking at the paint dry than you do watching TV, because you go into a trance, really, and you're very susceptible to programming. That's not an accident, And if you've ever sat there, and I've done this, sit there just, especially when you got 5,000 channels on cable or whatever, and you're just going, and somebody comes in, they go, hey, and you go, what? And you change from this wave to that wave, and this probably spikes more. And it's all, it's pictures, it's images, it's words, it's sound, but we respond to it as though it's real on this plane. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong watching TV or whatever. But I do know folks that if they put down their little, they have withdrawals from their phone because of that. I mean, I just saw an article somewhere that one of the Facebook big guys that used to be an exec was talking about how Facebook is destroying our culture. Because there are, when you push a like, you get a biochemical response, and it's like the Pavlov, B.F. Skinner stuff.
Yeah,
you get a little reward. Have y'all ever seen that old Star Trek No, the next generation spark with John Luke Picard when they were playing that video game, and everybody and everybody got and they all got programmed. I mean, that's truth told before it happened. That's what they do. They put it out there, and then everybody goes, "Oh, that'd be cool." Let's all get programmed. You know? And but technology, I'm not against technology. But there ought to be, if we're going to use it, we ought to be conscious about it as much as possible. If we live in a just world, it would be illegal to do what the marketing people do to us. But we allow it, so it continues. There's no reason in the universe you need tennis shoes that cost $190 with a sigil on it, you know. I mean, how many Saturn references do you see in corporate America? Bulls and Saturns and just, or however they do that. And the Taurus and the cars. And I mean, these symbols are all through our culture. And they're all out in front of us, but we don't see them. Because we're not aware. And you're becoming aware, and you're going to start going, that's weird. Pay attention to that part in yourself. So many times our real self, our soul or God will check us, and then we'll dismiss it as though we're crazy.
Yeah.
Because if we're living in that natural state, it's weird to people that are in the bot world.
Seen as unconformity.
Yeah. Because in the bot world, the binary world, you have to be on this side or that side.
Yeah.
Right? You're either a good actor or a bad actor. And if somebody goes, it messes up both sides. I mean, my little experience with this has been that when I hang out with the hippie folks, I'm weird. And when I hang out with the church folks, I'm weird. Neither one of them like me much. Or initially, you know. But I think trying to find the space between the intervals, between the this and the that, if we're given this or that, neither one of them are real. The Republicans and Democrats have divided up pot smoking or gun ownership. You know, how many people that are fighting for legalized pot are also fighting for everybody needs to have a gun? And how many folks fighting for, and there's probably some, but how many folks are about the gun ownership that are saying, everybody go smoke pot? They're not doing it. They got it divided out. And both of them are the same issue. The issue is the government is none of their business, as long as we're not doing harm to anybody.
Would you say more or less you're libertarian in that idea?
Yeah, if I had to choose one of those, yeah. But even, it's like, I think even the idea of libertarian,
It's just an answer to that.
yeah, and it's a place for other people to go within the matrix. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but yes.
For lack of
Yes.
the truest form of states' rights.
Sure. And I would, ultimately I would say government is as we think of the word government, is false. It's a false assumption that we need government. And this is based on my understanding of my story, my religious story, that God's will for me is self-rule under creation, and that the laws that I am bound to are the
righteousness, and that's between you and your God.
yeah. And if I operate outside of that, I will have some natural, universal consequences for that. And I don't need nobody to go, you bad boy, because I'm going to...
In that same respect, I probably have the most respect of the American religions for the Mormons and how much, as much as they can, they really did just, fuck y'all. You can keep telling us stuff, but we're just gonna make our own place. And we're gonna keep doing it, keep our head down, and
Sure.
whatever. We're in a whole different world there.
And I don't, because I'm not studied the Mormon folks that much, but they established a different government based on their religion.
Right. And their whole idea, we have a state, and we're in the middle of your stuff, and you have all that fighting going on. We're doing our own thing, as much as you can.
And I think that impulse is good and great, and so it's about time to eat.
The anxious back there.
Regular time of day.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I have anything profound to end with, but pay attention to that. That's what I was saying a while ago. When
you pick on people?
No. You're going to discover God in what you feel is crazy, in a sense. You're going to discover yourself there too. Okay? And it is not crazy. It feels crazy in a binary world. And sorting all that stuff out, I mean, that's for you to do. But begin to trust that. Experiment with it. Because you know what people call crazy. People call crazy doing drugs or this or that or the other. That's not crazy. Whatever. It's, I forgot, I'm trying to think where I was going with that. It's acting out a program that is not you. You know, when you have a thought triggered and you go down a path, this is what I was going to try to say, you already know that that's retarded to do. It's not like you need to learn that these certain behaviors and these triggers and stuff are, the craziness is trying to make all that make sense when it never will.
Yeah.
But there's a place in you that has deep knowing, and you watch yourself go do that. You know what I'm saying? Who's watching? That's who you are. Is the one that's watching. And in as much as you become more familiar, and that's crazy to even think about sometimes for the first time, right? That feels
Weird.
okay. And that's what I was trying to say in a bad way, is that that's the place where you're going to discover you and God and your purpose and all those things. Is outside of this binary, how do I fit into this cog that somebody in this machine they're trying to force me into, so I can get along and be like everybody else. That's a bot. Because if you're going to be like everybody else, you got to choose this side or that side, or, you know. Because even the hippies now, some of the groups I've been around, weirdness is normal now. Or what they call weirdness. That's not being themselves necessarily. Some of them are really cool. But there are people that watch what the folks that seem to know what they're doing, and then they'll try to copy them. Oh, I need to have that shirt, or I need to have this, or I need to have that. And the same thing with the rednecks. Jason Aldean, motherfucker, roll tide, you know. What kind of hat do I need? Stetsons, I need. And that's becoming a bot. Or an avatar or something. But you already know. Sometimes I'll get these guys when they're all like, and I'll hug them. And that freaks them the hell out. They would rather take an ass whooping. Because that's what they know.
Yeah.
Closeness, non-sexual intimacy is just weird as hell. It feels weird, but it's not. That's nature. That's natural. That's how it ought to be. So,
And today's gonna be weird now that I've heard all of this.
just watch it. Weird is cool.
I won't hold your hand when we go, Ryan.
You know? Because what's going to happen is there already has been this morning, some synapses, new connections made in your system. And your life, your experience has already changed. Now, a while ago. So often we get faked out waiting for the change someday, one day. You're never going to be the same. You're never going to think the same. You're never going to. And you're going to become more and more aware of how boring those same old patterns are, those programs. And you don't have to fight them. You get bored with them and you starve them, and they go away, or they're transformed into something, into wisdom. But there's nothing you need to do to fix yourself.
That's really even good here.
It ain't. There's nothing you can do. You didn't create yourself. You don't even know who you are. How you going to fix you? All you know is what you've been told you are. Except for that still small voice in you that goes, you know. And sometimes it don't go nothing. It's just still. And it's silent. And you go, what was that? That's God stuff. Acorn don't go to school to learn to be an oak tree. It's already in it. It just needs to be still. And the process will take care of itself. It's your anxiety that keeps you into all this other stuff and trying to figure out. But it's fun. It don't always feel good, but it's interesting and it's fun. Because if you feel yourself all outside, and you will, I do sometimes. It don't, and the secret is you just remember that you forgot, and you go, oh, okay, I forgot. Chill out, and watch, because you'll know what to do. You'll know what to say. The Spirit will lead you into. Don't worry about what to say or do. Stay in that place as much as you can. And you'll naturally, spontaneously flow into what needs to be done. All right, go eat. Bye.
Roll Tide.